Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Tuesday Tips. I'm Michael Barber, as always, here on the Grow Schools channel. We're here every Tuesday talking challenges facing school leaders, and I'm joined today by a new guest, a new face on the show here, Rami Michael from CareHawk. Rami, it's good to have you here.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to be here.
We asked you to come on because we wanted to talk specifically about how you can impact enrollment for your school by integrating safety systems. And Rami is the president and CEO of CareHawk. They are a North American leader of safety communication solutions for schools. And we wanted to have Rami come in and ask all the questions on intercom systems, past standards, strategic planning that can help schools build some trust, improve safety, and grow enrollment because of that improved safety standards that they put in their schools. So we will kick it off with question number one and ask Rami this. What's the role of school safety communications and access control in school safety today? And a little part two to this, any advice for schools as they think about budget priorities for these types of investments?
Certainly, Michael, is a great question. Safety, there are a few categories of safety concerns that are typically top of mind. Some of them are easy to know and comprehend, like natural events, wildlife in the vicinity, bears, coyotes, alligators. There's some weather-related events like tornadoes. There's fire, for example. Those are, easily understood. And there are others like behavioral incidents like bullying and harassment, verbal emotional abuse, unruly parents, and then there's the physical threats, violence, guns on campus, etc. The unfortunate situation here is that almost all of these concerns have been occurring at a higher frequency than in the recent past. There are a lot more animal encounters nowadays, and unfortunately, violence is becoming more violent in schools. And so one of the main things that needs to be done in almost all of these incidents is to communicate effectively and to the right people. So in some of these cases, the teacher or staff needs to notify the head office of the hazard. In other cases, they're asking for medical help or to assist in breaking up the violence. And in the worst cases, the entire school needs to be put in lockdown. And those are, the ones that we hear about in the news, the active assailant type scenarios. So in recognition of this, most safety budgets will focus on a couple of things: access control, doors, windows, etc., and communication. So, these two being the most impactful endeavors for school safety, that's where most of the budgets typically go. So, for example, let's take the infamous active assailant type of scenario. The first thing that the teacher needs to do, or most operating procedures will train teachers to, first thing is to close the door. If you see an incident unfold, get in your room, close the door, lock the door, go into the hard corner with the students, and then communicate that incident to the head office, or if they're so equipped, they could even lock down the entire facility right there from where they are. So what CareHawk does here is we offer a fully integrated hardware and software solution, which provides the technology layer that allows teachers, staff, and students to communicate reliably and reach the right people when needed. The technology was traditionally used as an intercom and public address system, but is kind of the backbone now for keeping the proverbial train running on time and on track. And we're talking about the whole package of bell schedules, priority communications, critical notifications, emergency preparedness, and crisis response. So again, unfortunately, back to the active assailant scenario, the technology is designed to show where the emergency originated, assist the emergency personnel in reaching the problem area, while making sure that the staff and students are alerted of the emergency with both audio and visual alerts. These scenarios, they typically unfold in a very short amount of time. It's just a few minutes. They don't last long. And so saving seconds can mean the difference between disaster and safety.
Yeah, such good insights there. And I just appreciate that the layers of different types of safety that school leaders have got to be prepared for, whether it is, an animal or something like an active assailant. There are so many nuances to how communications can be helpful in those situations. I want to talk specifically about examples that maybe your team has encountered where improved safety communication systems have positively impacted schools' cultural and potentially even their enrollment, because they're able to utilize that improvement to be part of their messaging, to obviously leverage from an advertising perspective, an impact perspective. But anything that your team's seen when a system like yours, or broadly in your landscape of competitors as well, when you've seen these types of systems go in, what's been the impact on culture? What's potentially been the impact on enrollment for that school?
Wonderful question. So let's talk generally about safety, not necessarily just the communications component of it. We see many schools across the United States and Canada focus on safety as well as education as major components, equal components of their charter. So, we talk a lot about student safety, and it's paramount, of course, but the other side of that is staff safety as well. There was a national study that was recently published. It indicated some very interesting statistics. 80% of school staff think of their own physical safety at work. 74% expressed that they do not feel supported by their employer to handle emergency situations at work. 67% felt that their school or district does not highly prioritize staff safety, and 77% acknowledge that school safety plays a significant role in their job satisfaction and retention. So in terms of student achievement now, the study showed that 84% of the respondents affirmed school safety has a direct impact on student achievement. And when you really think about it all fits. Teacher retention leads to continuity, leads to learning, leads to appeal and overall attractiveness of the school. So safety and education are they're intertwined. So both of them together make the fertile ground for charter schools' success and growth. You asked for questions. I'll give you two recent examples that we saw and we're very proud of. So there was a high school in Florida. They installed a state-of-the-art safety system, including the CareHawk safety communications platform. So along with hiring a dedicated school resource officer, these measures, they significantly reduced incidents of unauthorized access and violence. So parents naturally felt more confident about their children's safety, and that led to an increase in enrollment. And it was near instantaneous. Immediately, that sort of thing was noticed and appreciated and rewarded. So there's another example on the other side of the continent. There's a special learning elementary school in California. They launched a robust anti-bullying program that included a mandate for a fast response using the CareHawk safety communications platform. And they reported a sharp decline in bullying cases. It was highlighted in community outreach efforts. Families appreciated the focus on emotional well-being, and that made the school a preferred choice for new enrollments. There are many examples of this across the nation. We see strong uptake nearly everywhere, but not surprisingly in high impact areas like Michigan, Illinois, California, Florida, et cetera.
Yeah, I think it's, one thing that's the challenge of these conversations is talking about school leaders' challenges in a vacuum, because we tend to, as we focus on making sure school leaders have got conversations that are, expeditious in their busy days, we try and keep these conversations to 10 to 15 minutes. But I do appreciate the insights. You're blurring the lines here of the impacts of what school safety can have on not only just enrollment and growth and the long-term health of a school, but also on retention of school leaders, retention of teachers, which of course impacts again enrollment standards. And I love just the recognition that school safety can have on mental, physical, and obviously emotional health, not only for students, but the impact that it has for teachers as well. So, unfortunately, the keeping the show to its limit of questions often, and timing keeps us focused on one specific topic, but these are often very interrelated. So I appreciate you touching on that. I want to ask one more question because we're hitting that 10-minute limit that we try and hold ourselves to here. But you've obviously got yourselves and a number of competitors in the internet space when it comes to systems that are going in schools. What features of CareHawk systems that schools often overlook but could benefit from as they think about, enrollment, school safety, retention of their school leaders, and other issues they may be facing?
So this is a great question that we can spend a great deal of time on. So I'm going to try to keep to the top of the waves sort of thing. There's been a recent push to move to digital IP-based technologies in the past. This sort of strong wave is coming, and it's powerful. The situation is such that the growth in IP has not really been scrutinized in a way that I think the industry needs to really spend a whole lot of time on. For example, when an IP-based system is put in place and you're expecting it to be a kind of a physical, digital, phygital type of system that effectively ensures the safety of student staff, you want to make sure that both the physical and the digital are equally protected. So cybersecurity is an important concept here. You're putting a whole important piece of technology on the network, and you want to make sure that it stays up and it stays away from the hands of the bad actors. So cybersecurity is a major concern, and that's a very important key requirement. Another key requirement is the need for audio and visual, or visually assisted audio, I suppose in some cases is being referred to, notifications. So the school, if you think about it, is full of different, even noisy areas, band room, gymnasiums, etc., workshops. You need to be able to deliver those notifications of hazards to all of the students at the same time. So you need to make sure it's reliable, and it needs to be visual, and it needs to be catchy. And when you're installing these systems together, they need to be able to work and integrate with other school safety platforms, because every school have at least a handful of safety systems. In the case of an emergency, you don't want the school official to run to this panel and pull the lever and go to there and push that button and so on. So you need to be able to integrate them all so that the emergency notification and crisis response process is coordinated. So integrations among the third-party platforms is also a very important component to this. And last, and I would say this is where I'm going to pause here, but there's plenty more. You need to be able to rely on a system that is continuously improved. This is a capital improvement that is designed to run for 10, 15, maybe even more years. And so you want to make sure that a system that you put in place is capable of withstanding today's issues and tomorrow's pressures as well. So you want to make sure that you're working with a modern system that continuously gets freshened and upgraded, et cetera.
Yeah, such good insights of, not thinking about, similar to what we talked about earlier, not thinking about these challenges in a vacuum. It takes, like you touched on, cybersecurity, integration, making sure those systems stay up to date. Such good insights there. Speaking of more, we'll have to have you come back on the show because we've hit our almost 15-minute limit. So we'll get you back for a second conversation on this topic. But just want to say a big thanks to Rami Michael, the president and CEO at CareHawk, for joining us for a conversation on school safety and touching on such good insights on just how these things are interrelated to enrollment, teacher retention, and a number of topics. So Rami, thanks again for joining us for a few minutes.
Thank you, Michael.
Quick question for you before we wrap up. Where, if a school leader needs to find more insights on CareHawk, where's the best place they can find those insights?
The website, www.carehawk.com, or find one of our representatives. We have over 250 certified representatives across Canada and the United States.
Wonderful. Well, if you've got questions for Rami, you know where to find his team. As mentioned, carehawk.com. They've also got a finder on their website where you can start that conversation with their team. But we'll say again, thanks to him for joining us for a good conversation on school safety and its impact on enrollment, teacher retention, and a lot of other topics as well. We'll get him back to have a second conversation in the near future. As always, we thank you for joining us on our Tuesday tip series at Grow Schools. We're here every Tuesday, usually at the 1 p.m. Eastern timeframe, 10 a.m. Pacific, talking challenges facing school leaders. And we'll hopefully see you next week. Take care.
Thank you.